A 25-year-old unarmed black man was shot and killed by police in Ohio. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Let's get right down to the heart of this story as reported by the Associated Press. Quote, a black man was unarmed when Akron police chased him on foot and killed him in a hail of gunfire. But officers believe he had shot at them earlier from a vehicle and feared he was preparing to fire again, authorities said. Akron police released video Sunday of the pursuit and killing of Jalen Walker, 25. The mayor called the shooting heartbreaking while pleading for peace and patience from the community. It was not yet clear how many shots were fired by the 8 officers who were involved in the shooting, but Walker sustained more than 60 wounds. An attorney for Walker's family said Walker was on the ground while officers continued to fire. Demonstrators marched through the city and gathered in front of the Akron Justice Center after the video was released. NAACP President Derek Johnson said in a statement that Walker's death, quote, was murder, point blank, close quote. Officers attempted to stop Walker's car early Monday for unspecified traffic and equipment violations, but less than a minute into a pursuit, the sound of a shot was heard from the car, and a transportation department camera captured what appeared to be a muzzle flash coming from the vehicle. Akron Police Chief Steve Maylett said that changed the nature of the case from a routine traffic stop to a now public safety issue, he said. A few minutes later, the car slowed and Walker emerged from the still moving vehicle wearing a slim mask and fled on foot, police said. A handgun, a loaded magazine, and a wedding ring were found on the seat, and a casing consistent with the weapons later found, and a casing consistent with the weapons later found at the point where officers believe a gunshot came from the vehicle. After an unsuccessful attempt to use stun devices, the foot chase continued to a parking lot, at which point a crescendo of bullets can be heard. Milet said he has watched the video dozens of times, and Walker's actions are hard to distinguish, but a still photo seems to show him going down to his waist area, and another appears to show him turning toward the officer. He said a third picture captures a forward motion of his arm. Each officer, independent of each other, related that they felt that Mr. Walker has turned and was motioning and moving into a firing position, he said. Maylett said an officer firing at someone has to be ready to explain why they did what they did. They need to be able to articulate what specific threats they were facing, and they need to be held to account. But he said he is withholding judgment on their actions until they give their statements, and he said the union president has told him that all are fully cooperating with the investigation. Police said more than 60 wounds were found on Walker's body, but further investigation will be needed to determine exactly how many rounds the 8 officers fired and how many times Walker was hit. Officers provided aid, and one can be heard saying he still had a pulse, but he was pronounced dead at the scene, Mallet said. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost vowed a complete, fair, and expert investigation and cautioned that body-worn camera footage is just one view of the whole picture. The officers involved in the shooting have been placed on paid administration leave, which is standard practice in such cases. Walker's family is calling for accountability, but also for peace. Their lawyer said after the city released video of the shooting, one of the attorneys, Bobby DeCilio, said police handcuffed Walker before trying to provide first aid. How it got to this with a pursuit is beyond me, DeCilio said, adding that Walker's family doesn't know why he fled from police. Walker was grieving the recent death of his fiancée, but his family had no indication of concern. Beyond that, DeCilio said. He wasn't a criminal, DeCilio said. He obviously was in pain. He didn't deserve to die. DeCilio called the burst of police gunfire excessive and unreasonable. I hope we remember that as Jalen ran across that parking lot, he was unarmed, DeCilio said. He said he doesn't know whether the ring found near the gun belonged to Walker, close quote. Check this out. Kyle Rittenhouse deliberately, maliciously, and intentionally wounded and murdered several people. Yet he was handled with kid gloves, shown favorable attention by the judge and by his defense attorney. Yet the police let him walk away at the scene of a potential crime without any type of hesitation. He's a good boy. But yet an unarmed 25-year-old black man who is grieving from the death of his fiancée, who they say allegedly shot at police. 8 officers murdered him without a second thought or hesitation. Never surrender, never quit.